Okay, today we are going to begin a new unit of study in something called Pygame Zero. One of the most popular platforms in Python is called Pygame for Python game. Pygame Zero is a platform built on top of that that does some of the work for us and makes it a little bit easier for us to get our hands in there, get our hands dirty with some just good old game programming. So we'll be limited in what we can do with Pygame Zero, but after doing this unit, we could probably go up to Pygame, which gives greater control and flexibility, things like for controllers and things like that. So first thing we need to do is we need to install Pygame Zero. I don't think we need to have Pygame, but we can check. I have both on my machine. So when you will please open Thonny and go to Tools. And we're going to simply manage plugins. And you can see these are all the different plugins that you already have plugged in, installed with your package of Thonny. You can see that I have Pygame, and I have PG Zero, which is Pygame Zero. To install it, up here where it says Find Package from PyPy, you just need to type PG Zero. Oh yeah, it does say that it requires Pygame, so we're going to have to get both. So search that, and yours is going to come up with something that says, install. So I need you to go ahead and install PG Zero. Now, after you've done that, you need to type in Pygame because it's built on Pygame. You need to find Pygame. And again, mine says it's already installed. You want to click and install it. Okay, so apparently Pygame Zero installs Pygame automatically. Well, that's smart. That makes sense. Okay, after you have installed PG Zero, you'll need to restart Thonny. So just go ahead and close Thonny out because it only loads the added packages that you just added. It loads them when you start the program. So if you try and do anything with it now, it's not going to work. So close out Thonny and then restart it. All right, so I've got Thonny reloaded, and you should be able to test it. If you just say import PG Zero, if you say import PG game, you should have Pygame by now. It'll say hello from Pygame. And if you say import PGZ run. Now PGZ run is not allowed to be imported in the interactive shell. You'll get a warning that says, "Hey, don't run this in the interactive shell," but that tells you that you successfully installed the package. So we need to use PGZ run only in a Python file. So let's do what it says. Let's make a Python file. So make a new file here, and let's go and save it. We're going to be making several different projects. So I have a Pygame Zero unit in my folders, and we're going to be making a game called Alien Click today. So I have a folder called Alien Click. And in that folder, I'm going to make a project called Alien Click. So it's alien_click. And we're going to say import pgz run. Okay, and we're going to make the world's most boring video game ever. So the screen size is determined by two constants, and they're going to follow kind of the tradition that constants are all caps. So the first one is called width, and the second one is called height, and this will be in pixels. So I'm making a 300 by 300 pixel game. Now, in our turtle functions that we've been working with, we learned that the entry point to a turtle program was in, you would say, if name equals main, and we would run main. Well, for Pygame Zero applications, it's pgzrun.go, and this needs to be the last line of code. And it needs to be the last line of code so that everything is loaded first. All right. Now that is a good game. It's a game called Move the Window Around the Screen. But it is a height of 300 pixels and a width of 300 pixels. And if you've got this, then you know that your Pygame Zero is working. But look at all the stuff they made for you. First of all, they made the graphics loop itself, which is non-negligible work. And we have our standard icons. What's great is that Python is adaptable to different consoles. So different platforms. Someone running this on a Macintosh might have a slightly different looking setup. I do like the image icon as the controller, but we can change that if we want, but we won't right now. And we can, of course, press X to close out. And I love to have view variables, and so since we just ran this module, now that I've closed it, I do have a list of variables. I think you have to close it first before you get that. There's our height and width. Okay, we have some different classes that we'll be able to use called rect and actor. We'll be using actor today. We have clock. We'll be using clock today. And we have several keys and mouse events that we'll be able to use. So that's pretty nice. Okay. The first thing I want to do is discuss the draw function. So Pygame Zero, there is a collection of functions that Pygame Zero will call for every animation and every flip of the screen. So what a flip of a screen is when you change from one frame to another. You may have heard someone brag about their frame rate on their big boss PC when they play video games, right? You've heard of frame rates. Well, that's how often the frames flip from one image to the next. Well, with every frame rate call in Pygame Zero, there are several methods that it will check that you see if you've written. If you've written them, it will call them. One we're going to do is called draw. So we're going to define the method draw. We're not going to call the method draw. Pygame Zero will call it for us. But we have to follow what's called their interface. We have to use the method names and variable names that they want. They want us to use draw. And we're going to use the screen object. You may have noticed that when we ran our last Pygame that we have a bunch of different stuff here. Classes are for making objects, right? Functions, we know what those are. And it's been a while since we talked about objects, but now we see that we have an object. We actually have a couple different objects. One's called sounds, which we'll use in a minute, and another one's called screen. So screen object is that screen that you saw and can move around. It's an object. It's real. You can do stuff with it, right? Sounds is what you hear coming out of your speakers, okay? All right, so we'll be using both of those methods. In fact, we could use Pygame Zero just to play some music right now if we wanted to. But we're going to say screen.fill. Objects have different methods. If you want to look at what methods you can call, methods are like functions, but you call them on an object. So you say screen.fill, or screen dot. I should see a list of all the different things that I can do with this. You can draw to it. We have like draw, where we can draw rectangles. We can clear the screen. We can fill the screen. So we have several different things we can do. But we're just going to use fill. And screen.fill, like all methods, ends with parentheses. Inside these parentheses, we have to give it a color. And we can either use a color object, or we can use what's called an RGB value. So every pixel in your monitor has a certain RGB that it is set to, a red, a green, and a blue. And since those numbers are an ordered triplet, just like in math class we put them in parentheses when we have XY coordinates, we're going to be putting these in parentheses. So we're going to have parentheses within parentheses. And I just want you to type 128, 0, 0. And let's run our program. And we have the most boring game in the world, but we now have a color. So feel free to play around with these different values and see how, that was 128 for the red. If I add a little bit of green, I get this color, right? I could certainly turn that off, and I can make this 128 like that. And then there's the green, right? And the third color, do you remember the third color was blue? So I should have a bluish hue here. All right? And of course, these values can be anywhere from 0, which is black or off, all the way to 255. Okay? I'm just going to stick with that original color that I liked. Okay? But you feel free to explore that. You have 255 choices for each one of these numbers. So 255 cubed is how many different colors Pygame Zero supports. Okay, I think it's time that we add some character to our Pygame Zero. So if you would please, I would like for you to visit this web page. This is Kinney.nl assets. I think you can just Google Kinney assets. It's pretty popular. I mean, this guy is like awesome. If you don't know about Kinney, it is so cool. So Kinney basically he's made a career out of it. Okay, he makes a lot of Pygame games, I think. But what he does is he makes these 3D and 2D objects for people that are making games in Pygame and other places. We'll be doing 2D, but you can see that he's got them categorized, and you can download all these different things. You can also pay for them, but he gives them for free. But somehow people still pay him money because they just like him so much. He probably has some premium stuff. I don't know. I've never been able to get past the free stuff. That is super cool. I think the platformer pack. So I just went to 2D, and that separates it. Just Scribble platform. Oh, there's so many pages of it though. RPG Urban pack. Ooh. So we got the tanks pack. That one's going to be cool. Space shooter we'll use in a little while. So we have the alien pack, and I want us to find an alien. So the alien pack's pretty cool. We could do that one. But there's another one I want to find. Let's see. Is this the one I want? Yes, this is the one I want. So we're going to download this one right here. So this is Platformer Art Extended Enemies. Maybe. See if there's another one. Platformer bricks. Yeah, I want platformer art. Yeah, that's what I want. So you notice he's got mushrooms just for your Mario games. You know that's going to be cool. So we're going to download this. Okay, and look, he just asked for a donation. It's also cool here. You got your license. He says you're free to use these game assets in any project, personal or commercial. So if you use his assets for free, you can sell your game for money, and you still don't have to give him money. But we should give attribution, and I'm doing that right now by telling you where I'm getting these things from. And so we could just save this file somewhere, like in your downloads. Okay. So we'll just go down here to downloads is fine. But I am going to actually organize mine. I'm going to put mine in. So I have what I call image packs, and this is where I download them and I use them. Okay? So I know y'all are going to have a whole lot of fun with Kenny's platformer stuff. I mean, my goodness, it's so cool. So once it's downloaded, you can open up the space, read it, and I'll just select extract all, and it'll extract it all right there to this place. And you'll see that we have the alien sprites here that we can look at. All right. We're going to be using the alien pink. I like the alien pink, and I also like the alien pink hurt. So that's what we'll be using. Alien pink and alien pink hurt. We can use either one. I like the alien pink swim one. So I'm just going to control click on both of those, and I'm going to say copy. After I've copied that, I'm going to go back to where I saved this project, okay, which was called Alien Click, and I'm going to put it in a folder called Images. I'm just going to delete that for now because you might not have it. I made this earlier. You may not believe it, but I actually practice before I do these lessons, right? So we need to make a folder. So here's our, this is my teacher copy. Don't look at that. But here's our Alien Click that we just made. All images for your game and all sounds for your game have to be in a folder called Images. This is why. So we made a folder for our Alien game, where our project is. And now we need to make a folder just for sounds. So you can usually just click here and say New Folder, or right click and say New Folder, if it will come up. Since I'm recording this, sometimes things get a little slow. So it needs to be called Images. While we're here, why don't we go ahead and make our sounds as well? So remember, you should have a folder for where you stored your Alien Click Python file, and in that folder you have your Alien Click source code, your images, and you're also going to be making something called sounds. Okay? There it is. Sounds. Because we're going to add some sounds later, but not right now. All right, so in the images, I'm just going to put those two images that I got, Alien Pink Hurt and Alien Pink Swim. But I'm going to change the names. So just to keep it simple, I'm going to call this one Alien. And I'm going to call this other one Alien Hurt. Oh, I did the wrong one. I need Alien Hurt and just Alien. So I don't need to call it pink because I'm not doing two different aliens. But you can leave it pink if you want. And I just kind of like the look of the swim, so I'll just use it. That's why I chose that one. But you can choose either one you want. All right. So we've got our aliens there, and they're ready to go. All right. Okay, so at this point, you should have source code called something like Alien Click and a folder called Alien Click. And in that folder, you should have sounds. There's nothing in sounds yet, and you should have images, okay? And we got Alien and Alien Hurt. I picked these. You could pick up any ones you want. All right, we are ready to code with it. So, we need to talk a little bit about scope. Scope is about how broad something is. So, do you want a variable to exist for the entire program, or maybe just for a little while to do some work? Maybe you're trying to calculate the area of a rectangle, so you have a temporary little variable you call length and another one called width, and then you calculate the area. Well, when you want something permanent, like width and height, it needs to be defined outside of any function. Okay? So I can't go in here and say actor or say alien. If I do that, don't type this in. I just want you to see this. If I declared my alien here, if I make my alien inside the draw function, I can't use my alien anywhere else in the program except for in the draw. But if I instead define my alien here, now I can access alien in draw or any of the other functions that we're about to write. Okay? So we're going to make an alien. Alien, this name here, this is not a special name. I could call it anything I want, but it's a variable. You should make a meaningful name. So my alien is going to be an actor. I want to bring back up my variable, so I'm just going to run this right quick. I want you to see my variables here. Actor is a class, okay? And the way we get an instance of a class is what that's called, is to say the name of the class. So the name of the class is actor. Notice we can make actors and we can make rectangles. But we're going to make an actor. And in the quotes, you need to put in the name of the picture you want to use as your actor. Now for me, I name that picture Alien. And it actually adds the .png automatically. So it needs to be, they prefer .png. It does support other types, but PNG is usually the best. So we'll use Alien because that's what mine is called. All right? Now in my draw, I have to, if I run this right now, I've got an alien, and you'll see my alien will appear in my variable list, but I don't get one in my game. No alien in my game, yes? So, but I want you to see that I do in fact have in my variable list now an alien, and it's an object, right? And there's where it is in the memory. So, we have an alien. Now we can do things like draw our alien. So the method to make your alien appear on the screen is called draw. So I know this is a bit confusing. There's a difference between functions and methods. We are writing the function draw, but we're using the draw method from alien. Because we call it on alien.draw. It's not calling this draw. It's calling a different draw that belongs to the alien. We saw that kind of thing when we made turtles, and we'd say turtle, Hank.left and maybe Bill.right, and Hank went left and Bill went right. So now we've got our alien drawn to the screen. Okay, pretty cool, huh? All right, just a quick word of warning for all you out there in TV land. We've had some issues here in the classroom where make sure that you're using, you might have two different copies of your Alien Click program. If you're getting an error like no images directory, go to File, up here in the File, Save As, and make sure you're saving it in the folder that has your images and sound, and hit save, and you can, yes, replace. And then you should be successfully getting an alien to appear. Huzzah! So let's talk a little bit about alien movement. All right. So first of all, your alien has many different properties that describe it. It has an upper left, a bottom left, a top right, top left, bottom right, center. It also has just a standard X and Y. We can pull up the Pygame Zero documentation if you want, and we can look at all the detailed, wonderful stuff to describe the positions of an image. But for now, I just want to focus on X and Y. So I want you to say alien.x equals 100. So remember, the single equal sign is setting a value. And it sets it from right to left. So we're going to set the x coordinate of the alien to 100. And if you would just go ahead and rerun your application now, hopefully you'll see that your alien is now moved to the right a little bit. Now, the XY coordinates in Pygame are not like in Turtle. In Turtle, they were just like algebra class, with 0, 0 in the middle, positive x to the right, negative x to the left. Well, Pygame Zero is not like that. Pygame Zero is actually the standard for computer graphics, where 0, 0 is the upper left-hand corner. So that's why 100 has moved it to the right of the left. Let's change the Y. And run. Now, you might find this surprising, but remember, 0, 0 was the upper left-hand corner. Y's go down in most computer 2D graphic systems. And the reason why is back in the day, everything was just printed like on a typewriter, and the very first line is 0, 0. So you start here on 0, 0, and you move to the right positive. Then you go down a row, row 1, then row 2, then row 3. So negative Y's move up, positive Y's move down. So it's a little bit different than in algebra class, okay? All right, one more thing. So I want you to know how to set the X and Y of your actors. I do want to just go ahead and show you that it is possible to do that at creation. If you add in the extra parameters, you have to separate with a comma, and they're an XY point, so they go in parentheses. So this will accomplish the same thing. I don't do that too often. I usually make it explicit. I find that to be kind of confusing here, but I wanted to share it with you since it's very common. I usually like to just explicitly state what I want my X and Y to be. I find that easier later on because I'm always like, wait, what is this stuff over here? But that's how that's done. Okay? All right, it is time that we set this alien in motion. So, remember earlier I talked about how there are certain functions that you can write that Pygame will look for and call for us every frame click. Well, draws to the screen. It just draws it one time. Update is what it calls to update the screen. Does that make sense? So we're going to define the function update. Again, it doesn't take any parameters. And I'm simply going to update by saying alien.x, and I want to increase the x by 2. So I can say this. Let me show you a couple different ways to do this. I think we've practiced this kind of syntax before. So I could say alien x gets stored the current alien x value plus 2. So if the alien x starts at 100, it'll now become 102. We can also simply do this value. Maybe you remember that shortcut there. Plus equals will automatically increase it by 2. All right, let's run. And your alien will run right off the screen if you've done it correctly. Because what's happening is every frame, that alien is increasing in its position by 2 pixels on the X. Let's go ahead and use some of our if statements to make the alien start over when it runs off the screen. So we'll do that. So we're going to say if alien.x is greater than, well, we already have a value for how wide our screen is. Remember, it's the width of our screen. So I'll say width. So if the x goes off the screen, because alien, remember the alligator eats a bigger amount, so if the x value of the alien is bigger than the width of the screen, we're just going to set them back to 0. Okay? So once you've done that, you should be able to test your program, and you should have an alien that continues to, like a phoenix, rises out of the ashes and reappears. Okay? Okay, so we have already learned about binding events to a keyboard or a mouse in Turtle. Pygame Zero does it in a similar way, but it is again, they call it a boilerplate application. It is done for us. So we already have a bound function. We just got to name our function that same name. Okay? So the function is called on mouse down. So we need to define what to do on mouse down. Now the on mouse down actually can be called in 3 different ways. On mouse down can be called with a button variable that tells you what button was pressed, a position variable, or a position and a button. We dealt with that before when dealing with Turtle. But it's a little bit more flexible here, but we do need to use the same variable names, and that's important. So the variable name for button is simply button. And we're just going to print to the console for now, just so we can learn. I'm going to say mouse clicked. And remember, when you print in Python 2 different things, you separate them with a comma. So this will print mouse clicked, just so we know what happened, and then it should print the button that was clicked. And so, kind of a boring event to happen when they click, I know, but it should show us what's happening. You'll notice that it's mouse.left. I left clicked, right? And look at this. They've done a really good job. They've got the scroll wheel support. So we've got wheel up, wheel down. And then I've also got a middle click. So that wheel up and wheel down is going to be really nice, because with the Turtle, we weren't able to bind anything, at least that I knew how to wheel up and wheel down. And then, of course, we got right click. So we got mouse.left, mouse.right, mouse.middle, mouse.wheel up, mouse.wheel down. So this is pretty cool. Of course, you want to be careful with binding things to that middle mouse button, because it's not the same thing in every platform. But all right. Okay, so that's the first way that you can bind. The other way to do it is, and what I want you to do right now, actually, is I want you to just go ahead and I want you to put here, I want you to put a pound sign and a hashtag and say, how to use mouse button. And then I want you to go ahead and highlight this, because this is not just a program. And I didn't make this one up, actually. I got this from the wonderful tutorial right out of Pygame Zero. I want you to have a record of this so that you can come back and look at this later. Hey, how do I use that mouse button? I've got it. But we want to do something else, so we're going to comment it out. So if you go to Edit on Thonny, you can toggle comment, or just comment out. Okay? And that's when you say comment out. So now it's not going to run that. That's all a comment, but we get to keep it there. So now we're going to do a different one. Okay? We're going to do, I want to see how to use position. So def on mouse down. This one is called POS. POS. And again, we're just going to say print mouse clicked. We're just just to learn. You wouldn't normally print something in the middle of your game, but I just want you to see how that works. And I want you to see there's what's happening is a different exit. This is a good way to learn the different locations. Note that I can do everything. I can wheel up, wheel down, right click, middle click, left click. There's 0, 0 in that upper left hand corner over there. So it's kind of hard to get right there, but maybe I can. Hey, all right, got close, got a 0. And then there's our, remember we said our game was 300 by 300, but it starts at 0. I don't think you can actually get to 300, okay? Because it starts at 0 on the far left and goes all the way over to 299, which is 300 in pixels, though. So that's how to handle position. Again, let's make a little comment there. How to use mouse position. Because you're going to want to, have that later. And then we'll just comment that out. We're going to do it. We're going to make one more example method here. Example function. On mouse down, you can actually do both. You could have position and button. And we'll just print them. So this will print the position and the button of where it was. So that's probably the most useful of the 3 different ways that you can use it, okay? And just to make clear, it's not the order that matters here, it's the variable. So I was able to flip it and make it button, comma, position. And that's fine too. It's what matters is that you use those words button and position. Those are the keywords that it's looking for in your code. All right, that's the last one I want us to do for examples for our notes. This is a game, but it's also some notes. So we'll just say how to use mouse position and button. And then highlight that. Okay, I know y'all are anxious to get to making this game complete. So now what we're going to do is we are going to make our mouse actually do something. So we've got all these little examples for our notes. I'm just going to go up here under update because this is the one I really want to use, okay? So everything else I've commented out. I just want you to keep it there for notes. In fact, if you want to, you could even add a little comment that says notes on mouse, see below. Because you want to be able to have this available to you later on. Dun, dun, dun. All right, but this is the one that we're going to use, okay? Now, in fact, I actually only need the position, and I don't care what button they use. So I'll just say on mouse down posts. And the goal is we're trying to click on the alien because we're going to think of clicking the alien as like, I don't know, tickling him, okay? So I'll say if alien dot collide point posts. Okay, so let's talk about collide point. Pygame has and therefore Pygame Zero, because Pygame Zero is built on it, uses a couple of different key, what are called collision detection functions. Collide point and collide rect. Collide point simply asks, it's a method, belongs to the alien. Every actor, remember alien is an actor, every actor has this function called collide point, this method called collide point that simply returns true if the position is a point inside the alien. Okay? So remember, you can see them down here that when we printed the POS, that it gave us the X, Y of where it was clicked. collide point takes that X comma Y and tells you true, capital T, R-U-E, if it's inside the alien, false if it's not. Okay? So if collide point position, I want you to print to the console, and again, just for testing purposes, you got me. Okay? Well, what about if you miss? Well, let's say else. Remember, we have these else things. Else is run when the if does not work. So if it's in there, else we're going to print out, you missed me. Well, we'll taunt them. Ha ha. You missed me. Okay? So, we now have a somewhat functional game, right? Ha ha, you missed me. Ha ha, you missed me. Ha ha. Ow, you got me. You got me. So hopefully at this point you've got a game that's, not too bad. I mean, it's printing to a console, but it's still not too bad. Okay, it's time for us to take this game out of the realm of printing to the console, and instead, let's start having our alien react. So if we are successfully able to hit the alien with our click, we are going to change the alien's image. So the alien, not a line, the alien has, it's an object, right? Objects have methods like collide point, and they have variables. So image is a variable. So I don't put parentheses, it's a variable. And we're going to change the image. Remember, I called mine alien hurt. So now what happens is when I successfully click on that alien, he is now hurt. So we're adding that kind of interactivity to our alien, right? Okay. So here's the problem. The problem, though, with that is that now he's hurt for good. And I want to have this game maybe have a score. I mean, you can imagine those are the things I'm going to ask you to do to it. I want to have more there. But now he's hurt. He's never going to go back. So I could say something like else alien.image, and you probably don't want to type this in because this is not going to work. But I just want you to see it. So now when I click on it, he's going to be like that until I click somewhere else. Okay? And that's just not cool, right? We want him to be hurt for just a little while. So what we have to do is we need to make a schedule. We need to schedule a function. So in Pygame Zero, we are able to bind functions to mouse clicks, keyboard presses, and elapsed time. But it needs to be a function. So that means we need to refactor, as they say, our code. So we're going to make some changes. All right. So what we're going to do is I want you to take that out. We're not using, just that part right there. And we're going to make a function called hurt the alien. Okay? So we're just going to call a function that we're going to write called hurt the alien. And in fact, it's good for you to write a different function for every logical thing you're going to do. The on mouse down should detect whether or not the collision of the mouse and the alien occurred, and then call the appropriate functions to handle that. So we're going to have def hurt the alien. And hurt the alien is simply going to do two things. Right now, let's just do alien.image is alien hurt. Okay? And we need, in order to schedule, just like we have to have a function to bind to a keyboard click, a mouse click or a keyboard press, we have to have a function to bind to our schedule. So we're going to write another function called heal the alien. And heal the alien, we'll simply take the image and set it back to alien. And what I want to do is I want to bind that. I want to bind that to the time, okay? So we can do that right here and hurt the alien. We could also do it out here in... we could do it here in the on mouse down. We could call hurt the alien and then schedule heal the alien. We can do that in either place, okay? So if you look at my variables, remember we talked about the different objects, and objects have methods. We have clock. We have, that's an object, right? Oh, actually it's a module. Never mind. Modules slightly different. Modules are places for holding other functions. But so we have to say clock dot, because it's inside a module. Clock dot schedule unique. Schedule unique is what it's called. Schedule underscore unique. You put in the name of the function that you want, and we talked about this earlier when we were binding things to when we were binding things in the turtle. We talked about the importance of not putting the parentheses here. And that's the, I'm sorry, I'm called, what do we call it? Heal the alien. So this is a little bit more low level. You have to do it like that. So we don't put parentheses. If you put parentheses right here, it would run heal the alien immediately. Okay, so again, just like when we bound things to the keyboard, we need to have it be an empty set of parameters, okay? So we'll say, heal the alien, no parentheses. Got it? No parentheses, or else it would run immediately. And then this is how much time you want to wait. So I'm just going to put 1.0. So now, when I click on it, my code, when I have a successful, when I click anywhere, it's going to ask, is it inside the alien? If it is, it's going to run the function hurt the alien. So it'll change the image and then schedule to call heal the alien automatically 1 second later. And so you can see that my alien does get healed after 1 second. If you want him to be hurt for longer, you may change it to 1.5 or whatever, whatever floats your boat. And now he should be hurt a little while longer. Okay. Okay, back to Kenny. Remember Kenny? Kenny has 2D, 3D UI. If you want like different buttons and whatnot, those are cool too. But we're going to go to audio, okay? And we're going to and we have been playing around with these, and there are some pretty cool stuff. I'm going to go ahead and download the impact sounds, okay? So I'll just go ahead and download that. And we went through this earlier. So it comes in as a zip, so I'm going to save it. And I have my browser set to ask me where I want to save things, so it doesn't automatically do it. So in my Pygame Zero, I have image packs. I want another place. You can do whatever you want here. I'm going to make another folder, though, called sound packs, okay? Because I just want to move over the sounds to alien click that I end up using, okay? All right, so I've downloaded that. And let's see here. We'll go back to where they were, which is sound packs. I will extract it now. And I think there's over 100 of them. So your homework is to go through and find the best one. But we're just going to listen to a couple and see if we can't find one that works. But I was hoping for some sort of oof. Oh, you got me, something like that. We did find one called, double kill. That, I guess if you click them twice, you could do that. Devil Punch, yeah, something like that. There's some good stuff. All right, so I've got a lot of different things that we can choose from. Let's see here. These are all just impact sounds. So impact punch, yeah, that's not bad. Heavy. All right, well I'm gonna try that one. Okay. So I'm just gonna copy that. Wait, hold on. Is that gonna work? I think it will. Okay, so I've selected the impact punch medium. So I just or heavy, whichever one you want. Just right click on it and just say copy. Okay. And then I'm going back to my game, Alien Game. Remember, go to sounds, and I could put in. I just pasted it and I called it punch. Copy as many sounds as you want, so you can try them out. But remember the name punch. So now, when we hurt the alien, I wanted to make this sound, so I'm going to go. Sounds is an object. I'm pretty sure that's not a module, but I could be wrong again. I hope I'm not wrong. But modules and objects they're similar. Yeah, it's an object. See, it's what they call a sound loader. Okay, so that you have to have a sound loader to play your music in most any kind of programming thing. So we're going to say sounds. That's our loader. Then we do dot, and you give it the file name. Just the file name, not the extension. So the name of my file was punch, okay? And there's a stop, pause, but we're just going to say play. And it'll just play. We'll just play it to the end, okay? And so then we'll hit play, and we should hopefully have the ability to hear our alien get hit. We could have a different sound if you miss, maybe. And that's it. So, this is our first game. What is it that we're going to do about it? First of all, this is boring because my alien is only going in one direction. I want him to move around in different directions. Diagonal or up, down, whatever. Okay? Also, I'd like to have a score and maybe a penalty for missing. Okay? And maybe even have your alien get increasingly faster or have a timer that runs out. Whatever, something like that. Be creative and start thinking about it because that's what we're going to take up with the next one. Okay? All right, so how would we turn this project into our Google Classroom or something like that? I'm going to show you how to do that. You're going to do more work on this, but just this portion of the project, I want you to go ahead and turn in. Well, what you want to do is you want to go to your folder and you want to right-click on it, and you just want to say send to compressed zip folder, and that's going to make a different zip folder that's a single file that I can now attach in Google Classroom. So that's how you're going to turn in entire project. Otherwise, I don't have the pictures, I don't have the sounds, and all I have to do is extract that and turn it in. So today's assignment is to simply turn in what we did together, and then on your next assignment, we'll make it personal. So see you next time.